All right, so we're diving into this whole 10 simple tips thing.
Okay.
And honestly, when I hear saving money, I immediately think ramen noodle diet,
Right.
Like, where's the fun in that? But this guide promises no major sacrifices.
Interesting.
So I'm curious how they pull that off.
Yeah, it's intriguing. The thing that jumped out at me was how much they lean on a value-driven approach, which is smart.
Yeah.
It's less about deprivation and more about like being mindful,
Right.
about where your money actually goes.
Yeah.
That makes it feel, I think, more sustainable for people.
I like that.
You're not just like pinching pennies forever.
Okay, so tip number 1 is budgeting, which I'll admit, I used to be like, ugh, budgeting, whatever.
Sure.
But then they had this analogy about like a no budget life is like grocery shopping blindfolded.
Uh-huh.
And honestly, that's terrifying.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Like, I need to see what I'm doing.
Right.
So they suggest the usual suspects, I guess.
Yeah.
Spreadsheets, apps like YNAB or Mint. Have you used those?
I have, yeah. And what I find interesting is how those tools, even though they're both budgeting tools, they approach it so differently.
Oh, interesting.
Like YMB is very much about being proactive.
Okay.
Like
yeah.
literally assigning every dollar a job. Whereas something like Mint is more about tracking after the fact.
So you can see where it actually went.
Exactly.
Instead of where you just think it went.
Exactly. Because sometimes those things are very different.
Oh, that's a good point. I've dabbled in Mint,
Yeah.
but I've never really like grasped the YNAB thing. Maybe I need to check that out.
Yeah, it's worth exploring for sure.
Which kind of ties into their next tip, I think, which is values-based spending.
Okay.
I feel like this is where things get really interesting.
Yeah, because this is where the psychology of it all comes in, right?
Right.
We've all tried those like restrictive diets and they backfire. This is about flipping the script. Values-based spending is about like having abundance, but in areas that you actually care about.
Okay, hold on. That's kind of brilliant.
Right.
So, like, instead of saying no lattes ever, it's more, okay, if I make my coffee at home most days,
Exactly.
then I can actually enjoy that fancy dinner out with friends.
There you go. And the research actually supports this, right? When you feel deprived constantly, it triggers this like scarcity mindset.
Oh, interesting.
But when you're making a conscious choice,
Right.
that's empowering.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is, this applies to way more than just your bank account.
Oh, okay.
You can think about your time, your energy.
Whoa, okay. We're getting deep now. But I love that connection.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of these tips kind of tie into that bigger picture stuff.
They do.
Like tip number 3, being a discount detective.
Okay.
It's almost like a game, right?
It is. And I think it speaks to how like consumer culture has shifted even in the last few years. Years ago, you had to like clip coupons from the newspaper, wait for sales.
Right.
Now you've got apps comparing prices in real time,
Oh, tell me about it.
alerting you to deals.
Okay.
It's wild.
I recently found this vintage coat online, secondhand,
Nice.
but in amazing condition. And I used one of those price comparison things, and it was even cheaper than a discounted new one.
No way.
I was so proud of myself.
That's amazing.
I was like, yes, I win at shopping.
See, and that's a perfect example of what they call in this guide secondhand savvy.
Okay.
But it's more than just thrifting, right? It's about recognizing the value in pre-owned stuff.
Right.
And the environmental impact of giving something a second life is huge.
It's like a win-win-win. You save money, you potentially find something unique,
Yeah.
and you're being a little kinder to the planet.
Exactly.
I love that. Okay, so this guide's already changing my perspective. What's next?
Okay, so they shift gears slightly to home cooking renaissance, which at first glance might seem a bit out of place, but it actually aligns with this whole value-driven approach beautifully.
Oh, I totally see that.
Right.
Like, yeah, eating out is fun and easy,
Sure.
but if I'm like planning ahead and cooking more,
Yeah.
not only do I save cash, but then I can use those savings for something I really enjoy,
Exactly.
like a weekend getaway or something.
Precisely. And think about the added benefit.
Okay,
You
yeah.
control the ingredients, so it's often healthier.
True.
And there's this like satisfaction that comes from creating something delicious from scratch, you know?
Right.
It hits different than takeout.
Okay, now I'm actually excited to go grocery shopping later. This guide is dangerous, making me want to try all the things.
That's what we like to hear.
So it's kind of like finding those little wins throughout your day, and then they all like add up to something bigger, right?
That's the idea. And that's a nice transition into the next tip, which they call smart swaps.
Okay, smart swaps. I like the sound of that already.
It's like that game we were talking about, the Discount Detective. But instead of just like hunting for a lower price, you're finding a smarter solution overall.
Okay, give me an example. I'm intrigued.
So like a classic example is streaming versus cable,
Yeah.
which, let's be honest, most of us have already made that switch.
Right.
But it goes beyond that, right?
Okay.
Like, could you bike or walk to work a couple of days a week instead of driving? Or like find free workout videos online instead of paying for a gym membership that you barely use.
Oh, that's a good one, actually. I know someone who just canceled their gym membership and joined a local running club instead.
Smart.
And they're saving money, they're being social, they're getting in even better shape.
There you go, see?
It's like, why didn't I think of that?
Right.
Okay, you're sparking all sorts of ideas now.
Good.
What else is in this treasure trove of financial wisdom?
All right, so this next one might sound a bit counterintuitive.
Okay.
We call it minimalism maximized.
Minimalism, maximize. Okay, so before you picture bare walls and an empty apartment.
Exactly.
Because I was about to panic. Like, I'm all for saving money,
Sure.
but I'm also quite fond of my stuff.
Right, and it's not about that. It's not about deprivation.
Okay, good.
It's about being intentional.
Yeah.
They frame it as a question you ask yourself before buying something. Do I need this or do I just want it?
Need versus want. That seems simple when you put it like that.
Right.
But I know how easy it is to get, like, caught up in the moment, especially with online shopping.
Oh, tell me about it.
It's like, ooh, this sweater's 30% off and it'll look so cute with those jeans I've been eyeing.
Right.
And then next thing you know, my cart is full.
Yes,
And I'm justifying it with, well, but I saved so much.
exactly. It's a slippery slope.
It is. Haha. Oh my gosh.
But that's why this whole like value-driven approach is so crucial, you know?
Right.
It's like they're giving you this framework
Right.
for making those conscious choices.
Okay, yeah.
Not just with your money, but with your time, your energy, your belongings,
Wow.
everything.
Okay, you've officially blown my mind with that connection.
Haha.
I'm seeing these tips in a whole new light now.
That's what we want.
So we've talked about, like, minimizing stuff. What about minimizing waste?
Yes.
That seems like a natural next step.
Absolutely. And this guide does not disappoint.
Okay.
They dedicate a whole section to what they call resource efficiency, which sounds very formal,
Resource efficiency, okay?
but it's basically, you know,
It's being mindful of how you use everyday resources, like energy and water.
exactly.
Okay.
And those small changes, you'd be surprised, can actually make a big difference on your utility bills over time.
Right.
Plus, there's that added bonus of being environmentally conscious, which kind of ties back into that bigger picture we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing our choices have ripple effects,
Right.
not just on our wallets, but on the world around us.
I love that.
Right?
It's like they're encouraging us to be more mindful in all aspects of our lives.
Yes.
Which, speaking of mindful, this next tip is something I think we all need to hear, like really need to hear. It's the subscription audit. And honestly, just hearing that, I'm like, ooh, that makes me a little anxious.
Right.
Like, how many of those monthly charges am I totally forgetting about?
Oh, it's a real thing. Subscription creep, they call it.
Yeah,
$5 here, $10 there.
exactly.
It really adds up. Especially because, you know, companies make it so easy to sign up.
Way too easy.
But then canceling. It's like trying to solve a cryptic crossword puzzle.
Ugh. Don't even get me started on the call us to cancel situations.
I know.
It's like they just want you to give up and keep paying.
They do. It's true they do.
But you know, this guide suggests like setting those calendar reminders
sorry.
to like review subscriptions regularly. And honestly, I'm feeling a little more in control already just thinking about doing that.
Right. Because knowledge is power. Like when you actually know where your money's going.
Right.
You can make these informed choices. It's not even just about like cutting back on things.
Yeah.
It's making sure that you're getting your money's worth out of the things that you're paying for.
Right. Okay, that's going on my to-do list. Schedule subscription audit, ASP.
What's the last tip? I feel like we've been on this journey and I don't want it to end.
Well, the good news is I think the wisdom sticks with you.
Good.
But the final tip they have is all about setting those goals and rewards, which actually circles back nicely, I think, to the value-driven mindset we were talking about.
Oh.
But this time, it's like you're incentivizing your future self.
Ooh, I like that. Incentivizing your future self.
Right.
It's like giving myself a little present
Because
for making smart choices today.
Because saving money, like that in itself, is
Yeah.
not that motivating.
No, it's not inspiring for sure.
Right. But when you connect it to a specific goal,
Yes.
like that dream vacation or the down payment or even just like that fancy espresso machine you've been eyeing.
It becomes so much more tangible. It's exciting.
Okay, you've convinced me. I'm ditching my vague savings goal and getting specific. Like, time to break out the vision board and maybe like book a celebratory getaway once I actually hit the target, because why not?
Exactly.
Life is too short not to enjoy the journey, right?
I love that. I love that sentiment. And you know what I think is so cool about this whole 10 Simple Tips guide?
What's that?
It's not just about personal finance, you know? It's about adopting this more mindful and intentional approach to life.
So true. It's like they've given us this roadmap, not just for saving money, but for creating a life that we actually enjoy, that's aligned with what matters.
Exactly.
And honestly,
It's priceless.
it is. Couldn't have said it better myself. Go forth and conquer those savings goals. We're rooting for you.
Yes, one mindful choice at a time. And hey, thanks for diving into these 10 simple tips with us. Until next time, happy saving, everyone.